Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Alex. So this is my second review, and I was going to go ahead and show you guys all the statistics so you guys can refer back to this. And I did want to let you guys know that there are some inaccuracies with this mod tool, meaning that, well, let's just talk about like RNG and stuff like that, random number generator. So your gun says it could. Let's just say your gun can pin 200 millimeters. Now there is that 1 out of 8 shots that you're going to actually pin like 230. It's just random number generator to make it more realistic because not all shells have the same amount of gunpowder in them. So you know um, it varies. So this particular tank is one of my favorite tanks, and I chose this screenshot here basically to show you guys because this is probably the perfect angle to be giving people. So we're going to be looking at everything we can in this tank. We're going to look at the what the armor's effective at. We're going to look at all the marks, and I'm going to show you guys what kind of crew I run in it. And that's probably the first things we should cover is the marks. So um, DPM and stuff, you can see is 2,000. Reload time in game stock is 12.753 seconds. Your rate of fire is 4.7, so you're going to barely get off 4 rounds per minute. You can carry 40 rounds, which is great, 122 caliber. It's got a low velocity round, meaning it's going to kind of arc up and then fall down on people, which can actually make armor less effective. So it's basically a kind of like a derp gun. It's just more accurate. Which I will mention to you that on the Tankopedia it says it has .38, but on this it's actually .36. So .36 that's bare bones stock with nothing on it. So we can increase that. It's also got a field of view of 380, transmission rate of 730. If you guys don't know what radio signal does, it actually increases how far you can see on a really big map. So you can transmit and see what your allies see much better. And so 730 meters is pretty good, but most maps are, way bigger than that. So going down this, we can go ahead and see that its recovery rate after firing is good. On traverse, it's inaccurate. While moving, the gun's even more inaccurate. You do not want to fire this on the move. You can do it if you're close enough, but you do need to be aimed in to do it. So if we look here, six, what is this? On full traverse, even that is poor. The only places that it's okay is like, was it with a damaged gun you lose 2, so your accuracy you'll lose 2 on it. So yeah, it does have a really good elevation of 16 and 8. I found that that's probably the best elevations because 16 is just enough to where you can shoot people that are above you on cliffs, and 8 is enough to where you can kind of get hull down enough to where they can only see maybe the upper part of your hull. So going here to this, its power ton ratio sucks, which means it is slow. It can do 40 downhill, but most of the time it's doing 25 to 30 kilometers. So 13 in reverse. Gonna go ahead and say 1900 hit points, which is actually pretty high for a tier 9 heavy. It's got 140 on the front, 140 on the sides, 100 in the rear. 250 on the turret, 160 on the sides of the turret. In the rear of the turret's 160. The tracks are 20. They count as 20 space armor. And of course, you get 60 for the barrel, which is probably the highest that we've seen so far. 15% chance of engine fire, so you definitely want to have a fire extinguisher. That's all the marks. So this is how I've been running it myself, which is with improved ventilation, gun drive, basically the premium setup where you have just basically you get a better aim time. You go from the, was it 3 point, I forget what it was. Let me actually remove it. I'll show you guys. So you have to wait 3.19 seconds to shoot with this thing. So getting this enhanced drive is best. Basically, you need it. You also need this in combination with it because that will increase all of it to give you a 2.9 wait time. So you have to wait 2.9 seconds to fire, which is crazy. This brings your DPM up to 2300, which is amazing. So yeah, your reload time again goes from that to being 11.22, which is really good. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what perks that I run on it personally. which of course you want 6 cents. Um, I I would recommend recon at some point, but it's not necessary. If we're just going for, I'm just gonna show you guys what I actually am running on it right now, which I'm working on getting Eagle Eye right now. So snapshot, I kind of run this to basically make it so on traverse it's more accurate. So I use that a lot. These are the two I use for that, and then of course I want to fire on the move more accurately, so I get smooth ride and of course all the normal stuff. Things you can get to prevented maintenance to decrease your chance of fire, safe stowage, and of course this is the same one. Now adrenaline rush is a really good one, and safe stowage. So that's what I would actually do if I was you guys. Just go with those. There's nothing really else you need. Now, Adrenaline Rush, basically, if you get down to 10% health, I'm going to go ahead and say that's kind of a waste of perks, but that's pretty much how I'm running it. Now, if you guys look at the stats now, you can see that we went from 0.36 to 0.34 accuracy. So you get way more accurate. Your aim time goes down to 2.84, which is the lowest you're going to get it unless you want to put improved rations. And you can see while firing on the move increases, everything gets a little bit better. And of course, your DPM goes up to 2400. So pretty good. And having the snapshot makes it just that much better. Your transmission rate, your view range, everything goes up. That's how I run mine with those perks. Just to show you again, Brothers in Arms, Mentor, Eagle Eye, 6 cents, snapshot, smooth ride, safe stowage, adrenaline rush. It's your option. A lot of people choose repairs over it because you can repair your tank quicker, but I personally would rather use my repair kit in an emergency situation or just let it do itself. So now let's look at the armor. So the effective armor on this is way higher than what you might think because it says it's 140, but it's angled at 22 degrees, which means you need you basically need, I'll just say, like the BL9 tier 9 gun cannot pin this head on. The APCR that you have can pin it, but it can barely pin here. As you can see, this is red, so it's over 215. It's kind of a troll. If you look at it, it's basically it's actually stronger than what's next to it. If you see it, goes to 300. I don't know if you see it. It's because it's actually angled. So this actually is the weakest point that you could pin, is basically shooting the lower part of the hatch. Now, if you look at the hull, you can see it's a ricochet where it's angled. This is the place you want to shoot this tank. If it is facing you, which is most likely is what he's going to do, this is the weakest point of the tank. That and the sides. As you can see, the things flashing are 160 millimeters. But look at the angle I'm giving here. At this angle, it requires APCRs to pin it. So the best thing to do is to hide your front plate, and if you can't, over angle yourself. This angle looks like you might feel really uncomfortable, but the chances of somebody pinning you, look at, even at its weakest place, is over 250. So you can see here that you're just not getting pinned at that angle. So you could angle even more. I actually usually angle at this angle, and people cannot pin me anywhere, except for maybe here on the turret, which you can see becomes a ricochet at a certain point, which onto the turret, anything that's purple is over 300 millimeters. Now let's just look and see how thick the gun mantle it is. This can take a shot from a Jagdtiger, and it can also take a shot directly in the mandolet, right here, from pretty much any tank in the game, and it will not pin it. So just wanted to tell you that. Like, look, 360. You get 299 with the Jagdpanzer, and you can see it's 807. And then the weakest points here, you can see 341, and then it goes to 386. So only Death Stars do you have to be afraid of, and we'll say Jagaroos. Now it also has a deceptive hatch, and that is, the hatch is, if you look at it, requires APCR or heat, and trying to shoot that from range is almost impossible. Just wanted to point that out to you. Now, a lot of people say they shoot here. You could put high explosives here, but it usually doesn't pin because it's 100 millimeters thick, as you can see. So high explosives don't work like they would like on an IS. But So that's basically what you'd want to do is best angles. Now its weak points are all, it's not very good from the rear. As you can see, I'm actually giving it the same angle we had before, over angling it, and you can see that it's not actually as effective. Do you see that? So if you try to reverse side scrape, it's not going to actually be as good as if you're doing it from this way. You can actually see it. It's 276 from this way, but once we go from the back, you can see that it's only 200. Do you see that? It's I don't know why it's like that. It must be the way that it's welded, or maybe the way they did the model. But it should be, yeah. So there it is working. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that most people will shoot you in the back, and you can see that it's 100 millimeters, 112. A lot of people shoot the turrets 165, but this is basically its Achilles heels, that it's got that big, huge turret. So for those of you that own it, you basically want to face people with your turret always looking at them. You can look at other tanks. You can see here that you still aren't going to pin this unless you have heat rounds from a tier 10 gun. And if somebody's shooting APCR, this is probably the best tank for it, because if you can get it hauled down, they are not pinning you. They're not pinning you. And if you want to over angle yourself, you know, it pretty much protects you from any tier 8 with their full upgrade. And some tier 9 mediums cannot pin you at these angles. I've actually bounced on average 1,000 to 7,000 per match in this game. It's one of my favorite tanks. I'm going to keep it as a tier 9. I just got my mark on it. It's an amazing tank. Anyway, let's go ahead and go right into the gameplay. Alright, so here we are in Mines, and I chose this map because, like I said, this isn't a long-range fighter. You can make long-range shots, you can, but you're going to miss, you know, every 4 shots. But as you guys seen with the mod tool, having snapshot and all that, and smooth ride, all increases the accuracy of this. So you can actually at this point, with the crew setup that I have, you know, like I'm gonna get situational awareness. I'm gonna extend my view range. All these things will be something I eventually put onto it. This tank right here, though, I might mothball. Meaning take the crew out and put it directly into the IS-4, but keep the tank and maybe train another one. But we'll see. You know, I might do a fresh crew in my IS-4. So, you guys will see I'm going to go right to the middle of the map. I'm also high tier, but you'll notice that I'm not considered one of the best heavies. And it's because of how slow it is and the DPM. But they don't, I would say that they don't really consider, if you look at it, like an M103 is rated better than this tank, but in reality, this is one of the best tanks in the game. So the thing you have to be careful of is, like we see, that bottom plate, you do not want to give it on the front. If you give them that bottom plate, they will pin you. But most people don't even know where to begin with on this tank. They see a humongous turret and they have to look all over the place, and once they find a red spot, they fire. But it's not really red, it's right on the orange area, so it's a troll. So you can give people 90 degrees if they don't have enough. The patent, the M46 patent, does not have really enough to pin me on the side like that. He has to use APCR to do it. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I got lucky that that guy that came over the bridge, right there that I'm looking at right there, didn't shoot me in the back of the turret. He shot me more in the front, which is much thicker than it looks. So me coming around the corner like this is not recommended. So shooting him like that, and then backing off, I still didn't get pinned, which is good. So I need to get this guy off the hill. You guys are going to see that this tank is so effective forward that people won't even go up the hill. I mean, look at how many people are staying back. Now, I did take a shot by the only tank over there that has enough pin to do anything. But now that I'm angled, this T-34 premium tank is not going to be able to pin me. Now, if I over-angle, like right now I'm actually getting too much angle. Right there is perfect, and I'm using the rock in front of me to prevent that. Now what I'm trying to do is creep up so I can basically shoot down on them and make their armor less effective. The T-34 has the most pin that I can see over there. I'm not really noticing that there is a prototype, so a T-28 prototype over there. But I just want to go ahead and just get all this guy's armor. And you can see he damaged my track. They're shooting in the right spots now. They're trying to shoot right above my track.
Target locked.
But you can see the sniper is not going to
That
pin
one
me.
drilled straight through.
He's not pinning me. You will see that right here.
Unlock it.
I noticed that T-28 back there. So I decided to just go ahead and get up the hill and kill
Enemy
him.
is toast.
And now I'm going to go ahead and over angle my, as you can see, he actually shot for my turret for some reason and made me blind, which is kind of funny. He tried to pin that hatch on top, like I said, is a troll point. So here's a tier 10 Yagadu. We don't want to mess with that. If he does hit our lower hull, we're dead. We're one shot. Here comes the Lorraine. Now I'm going to go ahead and just nail him. So you can see that something else is over there that shot me from quite of a good angle, meaning that there's probably a tier 10 over to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and displace. And that's one of the things you need to know about this tank is that it's no good without having team. The turret is too slow when it moves around, which means it can be circled by light tanks. I will say that you can use your weight to kind of cripple a light tank. Usually if a light tank gets behind me, I back up into him and try and ram him, or I ram him forward, or I track him before he gets to me. Because you're not going to just one-shot light tanks. So that's pretty much the thing that you got to look out for is the light tanks getting on next to you or medium tanks getting next to you, because this thing's not as effective from the back.
Target locked.
There are some tanks out there that can reverse side scrape. This is not one of them. But you'll see here that it's got enough pin with the tier 10 gun. It's the same one that you get on the T10.
Target locked.
And it's the tier 10 gun that you're going to get on the IS-4. So it being a tier 9 means that when we take out tier 10s with it, we actually get more points. Now I'm going to go ahead and say it really reminds me of the M103, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it has way better armor than the M103. It's got side armor, it's got great hull armor. As you've seen, it's almost 600 equivalent in some places. The gun mantle alone on it is just, if somebody shoots you there, they'll make the mistake. But I will say I have had people shoot me with heat rounds on the sides of the cheeks of the turret and hit me. I don't know how. I'm also going to go ahead and say that artillery, this is actually faster than it appears. So a lot of times artillery will shoot for you. But as long as you don't stay still, you kind of have to. If you look at how big the reticle is on this, you have to actually get, really close up to people, use its armor, and that's pretty much the best way you can use it. So as you can see, going downhill, we're doing 35. I thought it was a really good game to show you guys it has a little bit of everything, but it's definitely a close-in fighter, and you need to protect your bottom plate. Another technique that you can use with this tank is basically to butt the front of your tank up to another one, and he will not be able to shoot anything other than your turret, because the hull is actually lower. So I've actually taken out a mouse head-to-head with it. He did pin my turret though. He was pinning my hatch. The thing is, I kept turning left and right so he couldn't, and I kept putting my barrel up and blocking his barrel. It was how I stayed alive. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this full review. Let me know what you think of it. As you can see though, I mean, average 1,000 damage blocked, and above average is about 7,200. I've blocked a lot. I get top of the board in this a lot. It's probably one of my favorite tanks right now. And you can see that we just basically we took over the hill ourselves. That we did have people helping us, but all 4 of those tanks, there was really nothing they could do except for switch to heat rounds, and even then they aren't pinning the turret. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Comment, like, and subscribe, and have a good one. Later.